Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here from Las Vegas. Exciting game last night, Hank, and we got a big weekend starting today with the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, there's 5 races today, mostly juvenile races, and tomorrow there's 9 Breeders' Cup races, and it'll be a lot of action. There's Baffert has McKenzie in the Classic. The Review Journal guy gave his 3 picks for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Left out the horse I like. And really took all the obvious horses. I'm just ashamed that Richie Yang's not doing their work there anymore. But Richie and I will be doing a seminar tonight at Sunset Station starting at 6 o'clock, and we'll be going over all tomorrow's races. Today's Breeders' Cup card starts at 1:15 with the first Breeders' Cup race, and then they'll be done by 4:15 our time.
Awesome.
So that's Las Vegas time.
Right.
And it'll be a fun weekend of racing. The 3-year-old Classic rather is pretty wide open. There's 11 horses in there. It wouldn't be as surprising to me if any one of 8 of them could win. And the Turf Classic has got a possible horse of the year who's had 5 wins on 5 different tracks, and but has never run a mile and a half. Chad Brown trains him, and Chad thinks he can make the mile and a half distance. We'll see. There's a horse from England in there who's won at all the different tracks in England, and I know I talked with the man who runs the racing at Ascot. They're very high on this horse, so that'll be a good race. They're all good. People will talk about workouts and who looks good on the track. They all look good on the track because they're all champion horses. If a horse doesn't look good on the track, he shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are the best of the best, so they should.
Yeah, so I don't pay any attention to workout reports because I think that they don't mean anything. At this time of year, a horse that can't work out well is just it doesn't make any sense for him to be in these races. They qualify for the Breeders' Cup by winning stakes races, major stakes races throughout the year.
Right. Well, last night we saw a pretty exciting football game. San Francisco Niners remain undefeated. The Arizona Cardinals showed up pretty well. A lot of different dimensions to their offense. A lot of movement. Murray is, he's a talent. The coach.
They added a running back from Miami who hadn't done very much in Miami, and his first carry he ran for over 30 yards. So there's a team that made a couple of moves to help their team. And what did we learn from that game? That's what's important about it. What did we learn about San Francisco, where they might be vulnerable? Where they're vulnerable is their defense against the run was not strong, and when they get up against the good teams like New Orleans and some of the other teams, Green Bay, I think San Francisco is going to have some difficulty.
Well, they have a very difficult schedule coming up. They got some next week alone against Seattle, which is a pretty good team. And then
not at home. See, Seattle is not a very good team right now. They're 0 for 4 at home. They've lost the home field advantage. Their defense is terrible against the pass. And I would differ with you about Seattle and how good they are. They got a quarterback and a decent running back, but their offensive line is horrible.
That part is true. That part true. They played a team last night that their offensive line was not supposed to be very good, but they played reasonably. They covered the spread. The game went way over the spread, and it's. But they were coming off that big effort against Carolina, and there was bound to be a little bit of a letdown coming in. Arizona opened up with a 7-point lead, and then it took off. San Francisco got a big lead again and gave up a little bit, got close at the end.
Yeah, well, they got close to the end. They had a chance to win the game. But I'll say this about these Thursday night games. Teams don't travel well on this short week. And the visiting teams, aren't playing all that great.
That is true. That is true. Primetime games have been going under the total very consistently this year, but that game did not. It went way over the number.
Well, Arizona doesn't have a good defense. They're giving up points in droves defensively.
Anything on the college card on Saturday that, of course, we've got the Georgia-Florida game, which is a famous venue. That's a game that everybody looks forward to every year. Georgia was open to 3.5-point favorite, up to 6.5 now.
This was always Bino Cook's favorite game. He always took the dog. The Florida's coach has done a real good job with his team, and they've got a good passing game. I think it'll be a close game. But I was over doing my ESPN show yesterday, and the man who runs the sports books for Caesars was there and told me that one of their big players had made a big play on Washington against who are they playing? Utah?
Washington. Is it Washington? Let me see. I gotta look it up. You got BYU against.
Washington is a 3.5-point dog, and whoever they're playing.
Utah at Washington. The game opened 2. Utah was favored. Now they're 3.
Yeah, they lowered the number when this guy made his play from taking 3.5.
Okay.
Very big player.
Speaking of big players, Mattress Mac lost his bets on the Astros in the World Series, but he sold about $20 million worth of mattresses in his promotion.
Yeah, that guy's a scam artist and has been for years. And he did all this for publicity, and the networks caved in who put him on television. It was a joke. And he disgusts me. And and because of that, I was rooting for Washington. But you know what? He got what he wanted. He got all the publicity in the world. And, I know him from the racing game where he was an abusive owner to trainers. He would fire like one a month. Not a nice man. Goodbye to him. I'm not giving him any more attention. Okay. Let's not talk about Mattress Mac. He's not part of the sport.
We're not talking about him anymore. Pro games this week. We got the big one, of course, Sunday night, which is New England at Baltimore. Everybody wonders, can Bill Belichick, who usually handles young quarterbacks very well, everybody's talking about Lamar Jackson, can he do something that other people generally do not do against Baltimore? And that would be produce a win. New England is amazing. Over the last 15 years, they've covered 63% of their spreads. They don't always play good teams, but that's a remarkable record.
Well, they haven't played a good team yet this year, but this is a good team. And Baltimore leads the league in time of possession, and that's the key to this game. Can they keep the ball away from Brady when they have to? And New England last week gave up some big chunk yardage against Cleveland. Baltimore does have good running back in Ingram, and they're balanced because Jackson can throw the ball now, and he's got some good receivers. So this will be a great game to watch, and we'll see how good the Patriots are now, because last week they weren't great offensively against They scored on defense as much as they scored on offense last week against Cleveland.
There is a possibility cornerback Jimmy Smith will be back for Baltimore. They have him as questionable, but he has been practicing. And that's
they added Peters, who helps their secondary.
That would be a big addition and makes a difference. The injury reports that come out today it's a very important thing for handicappers and bettors to look at that, because these injuries do matter, and cluster injuries matter even more. We got a game in Jacksonville's second home, which is London. They will be hosting Houston. Houston is opened a 2.5-point favorite. They're a 1 or 2 point favorite right now across the board. And J.J. Watt is out. Deshaun Watson got kicked in the eye last week, so he's not been practicing as much as he usually would be. He's been resting his eye. Interesting game. That's a division game.
You left out a very important injury, and that's Tunsil, the left tackle. And he had made a difference since they got him from Miami in their offensive line. Without Tunsil, they're going to have trouble protecting Watson. And he's going to be scrambling quite a bit. And that may not be such a good thing against Jacksonville's defense. That could be a key factor in that game.
That's interesting. Hank, I know you have more information than most people do. Tunsil's not even on the injury report over here. That's interesting. Because if he misses, that's huge. And why isn't he on the
Well, he got hurt last week, and I don't think he's playing this week. I don't see how he can play. He's got multiple injuries.
Left tackle.
Whose injury report is that?
I'm looking at the Don Best injury report, and they don't have...
Oh, that guy's injury report is always inaccurate. Sorry.
Okay, well...
I don't know where he gets his stuff from.
I don't know. I can't say anything about that. I use it. It's a great service.
Well, the other day he didn't have Flacco out, and Flacco, is getting surgery.
Anything else on the pro card, college card you want to talk about?
Oh, a lot of good games this week. I'm going to give you a stat on the Chargers. Since the opening week of the season, they have only gone over 20 points once, and that was against Miami. Now they're playing Green Bay. They fired the offensive coordinator this week, Hunt, who's a very good coach. Somebody had to take a fall for their lack of offense, which is, you can't blame the head coach. These head coaches got to always throw somebody under the bus. And Hunt is a good man. And meanwhile, there's peace in Green Bay, as I said on the show yesterday, and that's because they have balance. Last week they ran for 226 yards against in a game against Kansas City. So that's really helped their passing game a lot, the fact that they have balance. And, Rivers is a statue. And they just can't score points, and they're not going to be able to keep up with Green Bay in that game. I think that's a key stat. They can't score. They're like Buffalo West.
Speaking of injuries, there's still no line on the Minnesota-Kansas City game. Nobody seems to know whether Mahomes is going to play or not.
Well, apparently he has not been practicing a lot. He's been practicing on a limited basis. I'm going to be surprised if he plays. Andy Reid has kind of backtracked on his optimism about whether he goes or not. But that's just reading between the lines. I mean, he's practiced, but he's not. He has not participated in the full practice yet.
Well, Moore played a pretty good game last week against Green Bay, and I wonder what the line will be either way.
Well, in the contest, they had Minnesota favored by 2.
And if Mahomes play, obviously Kansas City will be favored.
Yeah, it goes up to them favored by 4.
Right.
I would take the points with Minnesota if Kansas City is favored by 4. That's a big number. Minnesota's good. They're playing very well right now. And, part of it is because the quarterback has been playing great since they adapted the offense for him and went to a run-oriented offense. They've got the leading rusher in the league right now. And Kansas City can't stop the run.
Yeah, you got... this isn't a big game, but it's interesting. Cleveland, of course, was the preseason... everybody loved the Cleveland was going to come into the season and do great things. Of course, they've actually been terrible. 2-5 on the season, going up to Denver, who's 2-6 on the season. No Flacco now, and a pretty unknown quarterback starting for Denver. This is a game where Cleveland, if they can't win this game, we might see some changes there.
In Denver?
No, Cleveland.
Or Cleveland? What changes are you talking about?
Well, I mean, they're doing a terrible job. They're 2-5. They'd be 2-6 coming out of this game, going up against a quarterback that hasn't played at all, hasn't never taken a snap.
Yeah, I know that, but what are they going to change?
You would have to think the coach has to be on the hot seat, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I don't know who they're going to put in there at this stage of the year.
Just about anybody wouldn't be any worse. That's just my opinion, of course. But I've never understood what...
They've had 4 coaches in 3 years.
I think they've had 30 coaches in 20 years. I mean, it's amazing what they do. And they let Baker Mayfield choose this coach. What happened to Greg Williams, who won 5 or 6 out of this last 7 last year?
Yeah, he's doing a lousy job in New York with the Jets.
Amen. Who's starting for Washington Redskins this week? Is it Haskins?
Yeah.
Well, from what I've seen from Haskins this year, he's not ready.
Yeah, that's true. But they don't have a choice. He's the only guy left standing.
It's very true. Very true. Anything else on the card interesting? I know you got...
I think they signed another quarterback this week. I'm not sure who it is, but they don't have any healthy quarterbacks to go with.
No, McCoy and Keenum are obviously both hurt. Yep. Anyway, Hank, have a great weekend. Breeders' Cup is huge. Football, the NBA is still going on. If anybody, I know a lot of people follow the NBA, and the terrible injury to Stephen Curry the other night broke his wrist. That team is snake-bit right now. They've lost so many players in the last year, but they had like 4 or 5 years of nothing but good luck. I guess they're paying for it now. It's just
another over last night came through for New Orleans.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Every game they've covered every over every game. Denver has lost 2 games in a row now.
Yeah, well, they lost to Dallas the other night.
They lost last night.
Yeah. Golden State, without all those players, without Curry, is now a 7-point dog tonight to the Spurs.
Well, the Spurs played last night against Los Angeles Clippers. It was a pretty competitive game until the last minute or so. And the Clippers' ex-Toronto player came in there and just took the game over in the fourth quarter. He's amazing.
Oh, and, yeah, he is.
So I don't know about that game, but last night was an entertaining game. The Clippers, Doc is, he's resting his ace. He rested his ace the game before. He came in there fresh last night and just had a huge game.
That was against people, if they forget, this were he played for Doc, or for not for Doc, but I can't think of the coach's name. The San Antonio coach, Pop, and yeah, and he met up last night. They looked like they had a nice exchange at the end of the game. And
he has a lot of respect for Pop.
He should. I think Pop wished him well for the rest of the year as well. The Lakers go to Dallas tonight. Dallas has been playing very well, 3-1 on the year. The Lakers are favored by 1.5.
Yeah. Well, there's some questions right now about the old man. They're starting to call him now in Los Angeles.
The old man?
That's what they're saying about him.
Well, he has been around for 17 years, 16 years, something like that. That is a long time to play basketball. But he probably needs to go on the load management system as well, which is...
Meanwhile, college basketball starts this weekend.
Oof. Actually, Tuesday.
Well, there's some preseason games this weekend, too.
Wow.
They've already started, actually.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot on our plate to handicap. Yeah, you're right. Here they are. I'm looking at them. And they are Duke in Kansas in Madison Square Garden, Michigan State and Kentucky in Madison Square Garden. Wow. They're great games.
Yep.
That's Tuesday, November 5th. This is going to be busy. I guess we'll just have to give up on sleeping.
Duke played a game at Cameron night before last against some local college team, and they gave them a game. I don't know if Duke is going to be all that great as people think this year.
Well, I'll tell you what. At the end of the year, they're always tough. They might take a while to get them in shape, but boy, they put it together. I don't think they'll win the national championship, but they're usually representative. It's going to be a busy weekend.
They may be overrated this year. Take my word for it.
Oh, I believe you. I definitely believe you. Hank, good luck today. Good luck on the week. Good luck the weekend, the football. I know you're in all the contests. Continue with your great success. You're doing very well. Just keep it up.
Okay. Have a good weekend, Jim.
You too, Hank. Bye-bye. And just a special note, I use the Don Best service each and every day. Hank gets information that most people don't. So his injury reports might be better than most, but that's Hank. But the Don Best service is excellent. If anybody wants to sign up for that, donbest.com, and you can get that service from them. But I appreciate what they do. It's amazing. And JimFeist.com for our plays. Hank's plays, Dave Koken, mine, we're up there. We're doing very well. I'm 39-20 in the NFL. Slipped back a little bit over the last 2 weeks, but expect to come back this weekend with a big card, a successful card, and pick some winners. Take care, everybody, and good luck.